Team, welcome to episode 4. This week's class is a continuation of last week's, where we saw the difference between the simple and the continuous. Remind me, what's the difference? I know you said simple is about facts and the continuous is about action, Hollywood style. But we are going to be continuing with that idea in this class, this time talking about the past. All right. So, this is our introduction and our goal. It's going to be to use all the past forms in one story. It's a quick exercise. We will see in a bit. It's about how we can use all 3 forms. Really, there are just 3 forms to guarantee that you are comfortable with the variations of the past. The warm up was to tell a story about 2022. Any story will work. We're saying goodbye to last year, but prepare a story to tell. That's it. And I want you to tell it your way first before we continue. So wherever you are, whoever's near you, you can grab your dog and tell them the story. Let's go. So objective 1 is to review the past times. We're starting with the simple, which is, you got it, about facts at a past point in time. We will have more than one class about the present perfect where we will compare the two. But what this means is you need to have an idea of when this happened. And it can be a very general idea. When I was younger, when I traveled, oh, some time ago. But anything like that, any type of framing counts. Now, the number one mistake that I see is this right here. If we use did, usually for a negative or a question, leave the verb alone. As soon as you use the word didn't, I know 2 things. A, it's in the negative, and B, it's in the past. So there's no didn't went. There's no didn't saw. It'll always be didn't go, didn't eat, didn't sleep, didn't watch, didn't like. Same thing with a question. As soon as I see it starts with the word did, you know 2 things. A, it's a question. B, it's in the past. Sometimes I'll be reading something in Portuguese, and only when I reach the end of the sentence with the question mark that I realize it was a question. In English, right from the beginning, you know, either because of that inversion. You are happy, it's a statement. Are you happy is a question. Starts with are, question. Or like this with the auxiliary. You saw UFC Rio. Did, okay, I know it's a question. Did you see UFC Rio? So leave the verb alone. No did you saw, no did you went. Did you see, did you go, did you eat, did you sleep? All right? Some time expressions that are common with the past can be specific. Yesterday, in 2022, on the 23rd of October of 1997. Or it can be general, a couple months ago when I was younger. So whenever you see something in blue, it means it's an exercise. What did you do for Christmas? He got big. Past continuous. This one, I think it's actually easier. Instead of am, is, or are, just was or were. The ing is free. Do, doing. Play, playing. Eat, eating. There are no variations of this. Sometimes I'll see somebody mix up the was and the were. I were sleeping. No. If you get the was, the were correct, I was, he was, she was, the doctor was, Ozzy was. The rest are were. If you get that part right, the rest will flow. So just concentrate on getting the correct form of to be in the past, which are just 2, was or were. If you get that right, the rest of the sentence will be correct. Okay? This is a tip that I will give you from over 10 years of English teaching. All right, I'll give you an example. If I were to show up to, you know what? I was swimming and just stopped, you kind of be like, and, what happened? Why? Because we need to anchor this. We need to attach this to a point in time. I was swimming when I saw a shark. I was working when the delivery arrived. I was working while Ozzy was sleeping. On New Year's, I was watching the fireworks. So we need to have this form together with something else, something that defines when it was happening. I like to imagine that it's describing a scenario, almost like a movie. So we were swimming. Imagine me there. When we saw a shark, and the shark comes. So you will never see the past continuous by itself. unless you're like answering a question. What were you doing on Friday? Oh, I was watching a movie. And now this one gets a tiny bit trickier. The past perfect, there is nothing perfect about it. It's a very confusing word. I have no idea why they chose perfect. Whenever you see the word perfect, I want you to think of the word before. Imagine you're playing bingo. Before! This is the trick. Present perfect, something that happened before the present. I have eaten tacos. When did I eat tacos? Only thing you know is that it was before today. Same thing with the past perfect. I had eaten tacos before dinner. So you will have a point in the past. The past perfect will be before that. I like to think that you're dividing by 100. I don't know if you guys were taught this way, but you would take the decimal point and move it back to remove the zeros. So the first move back would be the past, and then 2 would be the past perfect. If you're looking at this video kind of angry now, like what's this guy talking about? Let me start with the good news. A, it will always be had. There are no variations of this. There are no versions without had. Now we have both a simple and a continuous form, which you guys are already the master of because of last week. And you can just have the had with the past participle. It's the third one, as most of my students know, but if it's an ED word, it's just ED. Walked, had played, had watched, or it's the last variation. For example, had gone, had spoken, had done. So it's that less used variation of the verb. Most of my students, because of this less used variation, usually prefer the continuous form, because in this case, it's always had, it's always been, and then the ing form. Had been doing, had been watching, had been eating, had been sleeping, had been going. So you already know 2 out of the 3 words, and the last one, just add the ing to the verb. More importantly, let me explain how to use it. So just like we've seen before with the simple and continuous form, one focuses on the facts, the other focuses on the action. I had studied for my test. Cool. You were prepared for your test. It's a fact. If I say I had been studying for my test, you imagine me going through my notes. So one focuses on the fact, the other focuses on the action. It's not about right or wrong. It's about communication, what you prefer. Because it comes before a point in the past, it will always go together with something either explicitly or implicitly. Explicitly, I had been to Rome before my last trip. My last trip is here. Before that, I had already been to Rome. But in real life, we don't always keep talking this extensively. So if we were talking about my last trip to Europe, I might just say I had been to Rome, and you would know it's before the point in the conversation we're having. So it can be implicit as well. The same words that commonly seen with the present perfect can go with the past perfect. I went to Caldas Novas last year. I had never been there before. If Patricia and I saw a movie yesterday, the Big Lebowski, I can say I had already seen it. She hadn't seen it yet. We went to a restaurant we liked, maybe. We went to a restaurant we liked, and we like. And we had been there before. That's how we knew we liked it. So the same words that we see with the have, we see with the had as well. So what had you never done before last year? It's a quick exercise. It's a good one, though. We did this last year. Before that, we had never done it. Team, all of this is to reach this point right here, a 3-sentence 2022 story. And basically, I want you to tell a story in 3 sentences. I have found that 3 sentences is the limit. If I ask for more, my students are like, no. If I ask for less, it's not really a story. So in this case, we're going to use this format where you're going to give the setting. I'm going to use the shark. I was swimming in the ocean when I saw a shark. Then you're going to go back and give some background. It's like a TV series where they throw you into the action and then 24 hours earlier. So I was swimming when I saw a shark. I had been told there were sharks in the area. I got out of the ocean as quickly as possible. So A, B, C, finish it off. Do this a couple of times during your week, and you will be golden. As a bonus, I recommend you imagining Morgan Freeman narrating it, just because Morgan Freeman has an awesome voice, and it's just fun to imagine him narrating our lives. Let me see. Let me pick one. What didn't you do last year? I did not go to New York. I did not visit my family in the United States. So that is something I didn't do last year. And last up, I almost went to the answer. The extra credit. How do we use used to? Used to is about something you did in the past but don't do anymore. I used to be on a swim team. But just like we saw with the simple, if you're asking a question or if you're in the negative, you're going to remove the D after the use. So did you use instead of did you used? No, I didn't used. Okay, that doesn't exist. So if you have the auxiliary, in this case did, used to, it's about the past, so it's probably going to be did. You're just going to leave it in its base form, just use. Team, that's it. Like always, thank you, and I hope to see you in class.